Hey, hi there boys and girls, and welcome back to the channel. Right, go on to my games first. Yeah, a little bit contradictory, I suppose, with regard to the description in the fact that this isn't an Ace Mastery replay. It's just an interesting game that I wanted to feature in a video for a little while because it ends in an unusual way, put it that way. Now I'm here in the Emil one. This is a tank that I have previously aced, but yeah, you'll see what I mean when we get to the end of the game as well. I thought this one was quite interesting. So we're here on Naval Frontier, and I've come down what I think is probably the normal the normal heavy route here. I'm backed up by a guy who's in an IS-8. Now he has a very good game. But the heavies haven't actually sort of stayed together. They've sort of split up a little bit. So for a little while, I'm going to be the furthest forward. Now we've got an interesting array of enemy heavy tanks in front of us. In that there's one Motion and two VK100s out there. So certainly some pretty big tanks that can certainly be a handful. And you're going to see. Basically, what we're going to do here is just be disciplined about it. Obviously, the Emil one is a very hard-hitting tank if it's used correctly with the 3-shell auto loader. And I'm just going to use this cover and keep popping out, and as much as possible, getting the rounds into these heavily armoured tanks that are in front of me, and just whittle these guys down as much as we can. Now, as you can see, I've managed to stick quite a few into the Motion already, so we're just looking for an opportunity to get our reload on, stick one through the cupola and get him cleared, which we've managed to stick there. Now, as you can see, all the time I'm doing this, I mean, I'm obviously taking cover during my reload. I'm keeping a good angle on my tank. So I mean, I'm taking some bounces, so not a bad passage of play so far. We're already 2 tanks up in this game, and we're doing okay at keeping these big monstrous armoured heavies tied down a little bit. As you can see, I've got the IS just off to my right, another heavy just a little further off as well. So we're sort of we're in an extended line here, sort of taking these guys on. I'm using the cover as much as possible, as I said, to cover myself during the reload. So we're going to pop out here, stick one straight into the lower plate of the VK. One of our teammates gets him cleared up, so that's 2 of these armoured monsters taken care of. We've now got the opportunity to push around aggressively on third, which, here we go. There's one in the side there, and another shell straight into the side, and we get this guy cleared up for my second kill. So as you can see, on the heavy flank at least, we've done a very, very good job. However, our meds have not had as a successful time of it, and the medium flank has been completely wiped out. So it's still looking as a 3-on-3. Now we're getting pushed on by the T54 here. These meds are looking pretty healthy, and you know, I'm going to come over aggressively on this guy. I want to push into him. I want to. Now that was bad play on my part. In that, what I wanted to do was put this T54 in between me and the other med that is firing at me and use his tank as cover. That didn't work out. The guy moved on me. So my aggressive push there wasn't as effective as I wanted it to be. However, we have managed to get the guy cleared, and I am now able to somewhat use this tank as cover, but I've taken another nasty hit there. I'm down to a 1-shot, and we've still got 2 enemy tanks to deal with. However, although we've got the tank advantage at this point, pretty much all the tanks on the green team, we're all 1-shots, and against a couple of meds that can be a bit of a challenge. So I'm going to help my buddy here in the IS-8. I'm going to try and do our very, very best to isolate this tank off and get him cleared. My buddy is now taken out of the game and cleared up. I managed to come around on the 54 and get him cleared up, and this is where it gets interesting. So we are now down to a 1-on-1. We're both 1-shots. He's a medium tank. I'm in a heavy. So got to think about this now. As I come round, I'm thinking my best advantage to a certain extent has got to be my armour, and the armour on the Emil is not too bad at all. So what I want to do is potentially get into a situation where if I have to peek this guy, I'm giving myself the best advantage by doing so in a hull down position. I've slowed this piece of footage down now, so you can see how I do it. I roll back, I want to show him the top of my turret, I get a look there, hit the shot, I get him destroyed, and he did exactly the same thing to me, probably with a HE shot. So as you can see, we actually both killed each other at exactly the same time, and that one ends up in a draw, which I've never had a game end quite that way before. Good player, re-roll account, but you know, almost a 75% win rate, so well played him, but a very interesting game. Anyway, back to the conventional Ace Mastery gameplay, and we're here with SpongeBob Carry Pants. We've featured him, his play quite a few times before. Normally puts forward some pretty good replays to SpongeBob, and he's rolling out on Castilla in the E75 TS Premium at Tier 8. Now he's going to roll around with the rest of his buddies here on this flank onto the traditional route for heavies from that spawn, which is towards the sea cap. Now, two main areas I tend to go to on this spawn is either those rocks that you can see on the right, get hulled down there, try and draw shots from the TDs that tend to hit the high ground, or you come here if you've got the gun depression for it, and try and control this reverse slope here, and that's exactly what our buddy's going to do, and he's going to be doing it well. The only disadvantage of this position, and you do have to be careful, is that you are in a position potentially to get flanking shots from the side here, from the high ground, so that is something that you do always have to be aware of, but that's exactly what SpongeBob is doing here. Already managed to put one shot into this guy and keep him honest, make sure that he doesn't have free reign to just keep pumping in damage there, and he has SpongeBob's position is being helped here obviously by the fact that he does have green meds, making sure that that area isn't uncontested and just letting this guy sit up there and snipe across map. So this is a good position to take, but it can be a risky one if your meds aren't doing the aren't reading the game as well as you'd like them to. But that's not the case in this particular circumstance. So that's going to allow SpongeBob here effectively to play a very good, slow, steady game. He's simply going to just keep rinse and repeat. He's going to keep using this good position of elevation he has. One thing you're going to notice is he displays very good situational awareness. He's aware of the multiple targets he has around him. He knows he has threats off to his right. He knows he has at least 3 tanks off to his left. So he's effectively always aware of where the enemy is. Now this does a couple of things. One, it gives him an opportunity to make sure that as much as possible he keeps his tank in cover. He's going to take. He does. I mean, obviously you are going to take some hits. So he's doing his very best to keep his tank in cover. But it also means that he's pretty much, because he's got a lot of targets spotted, and because he's showing this great awareness, that as soon as his gun's reloaded, he's potentially already looking for where he's sticking his next shell. And that is exactly what you're going to see here. He doesn't spend too long with a shell loaded and it not firing. As soon as he's reloaded, he's already identified his next target and he's putting the rounds in. And that's why you're going to see SpongeBob put up some pretty good damage numbers here. So he's still occupying this position. He's got the chieftain down there now. So the chieftain's come across the river here in an exposed position, which is probably not a good play for him. So he's not. He's left himself far too exposed here. SpongeBob able to hit the reverse slope, take a bounce, and he's going to get his shell reloaded and take this guy out for kill number 2. So it's very, very effective tanking. I mean, in one sense, you could say. I mean, he sort of hit this position quite early in the game and hasn't really moved from it. That doesn't mean he's playing it passively. It means he's playing it well. He's always looking for his next potential target. He's always firing his gun when he's got shells reloaded, and this is going to effectively, in my opinion, punch well above the weight of the rest of his team here, and ultimately be the deciding factor in bringing home a very, very good win here. Now, as you can see, he's picked up his 3rd kill, and he's up to almost 3,800 damage now. And his tank is still looking pretty healthy for this stage of the game. Now got the last 2 enemy tanks in front of him, so he's going to use a dead tank as cover. It's very effective tanking here. Slam one straight into the lower plate. Now he has taken a bit of damage in return. The rest of his team is starting to come over to give him some assistance. Gets a really unlucky bounce there. I thought he'd hit the right spot on the armour there, personally, but obviously the guy's not going to make it easy, so this time he makes certain, puts one straight through the turret hatch there, and picks up kill number 4. And our friend here, yeah, this is the great weakness on this tank, straight into the turret hatch again, and he picks this guy up for kill number 5 and the win. Fantastic display of consistent tanking there. 4,400 damage, 5 kills, and a well-deserved ace mastery. Well done indeed, SpongeBob. Okay, and here we are for our last game. This is my good buddy Lewis Ilikoski from GTC2, and he's rolling out in the Tier 9 waffle tractor on Faust. And sometimes, I've said it before, sometimes I find watching TD replays a bit boring, but that's because sometimes people play them in what is frankly a very boring way. They sit in spawn and they fire. It's not very effective tanking to my mind. But every now and then that sort of play does pay off. Now, what I like about the replay that Lewis has sent here is he certainly plays it as a TD should be played in the initial parts of the game. He doesn't have the armour to go frontlining this tank. It's pretty much disastrous when you see a TD driver do that. It's playing the tank out of its role. So what he's doing, he is hanging back a little. He's looking for opportunities and he's patient. But when he does get the opportunity, he's slamming in the big shells. And as we're going to see, I mean, the Reds have pushed this flank very, very heavily here. So Lewis has got to be very careful of the fact that this flank could get pushed on aggressively by Reds very quickly, and he might need to make his way out of here. So he's showing good situational awareness here. Now our buddy here has pushed hard and aggressive. That has allowed the rest of his team to push over hard and aggressive as well. But Lewis has already whacked in one high HE roll into this guy, clears him up for kill number 1. However, that flank is going to fold. Lewis knows this, so he's going to relocate. This is good driving. Not necessarily just sitting there and hoping to fire his big gun as often as possible. He's looking to relocate. So he can see the majority of the remaining members of his team are out on this left flank, so Lewis is going to do his best to get over here and support them. However, he knows that the red team, who have just taken the ACAT flank, are going to be heading across as well, so he positions himself really beautifully here. He knows where these meds are going to be, chasing down the rest of the team, and he's going to put himself in a great supporting position. And as you can see, he's got a lot of enemy tanks around him, but he's just going to play it well. Bearing in mind, I mean, he's doled out over he's doled out what, 2,800 damage so far. He hasn't taken a hit yet. Gets this guy tracked beautifully there. That puts him up to nearly 3,500 damage. And this is just very effective tanking, not what you could describe as a boring gameplay at all. Now our friend here in the baby waffle tractor, Borsig, he's going to regret that. HE shot straight through the turret for 900 damage. Go back to the garage, my friend. And Lewis is just completely got free rein into the side of these tanks. These tanks have become somewhat fixated by the green tanks down there on the left hand side of Lewis's position here, and they're really not paying close attention to who's whacking in the high levels of alpha from their flank, which is going to allow Lewis to just keep thumping away with this dirty great big gun. And look how effective it has indeed been. Already taken 2 kills. He's going to get one of these shots in here to clear up the last guy for kill number 3. And look at those damage numbers. Absolutely monstrous game from Lewis there. I think he actually said to me it's one of the best games he's ever had with regard to damage. And yeah, 6,228, 3 kills. What an ace mastery. Thank you very much indeed for sharing your replay, Lewis. Really like that one. So I'd like to thank SpongeBob and Lewis Ilikoski for their replays. Thank all of you for continuing to watch and support the channel. Please like, subscribe, put a comment in. It really helps when you do that. And as always, good hunting and bye for now.